Guys, it's your boy Alex, and we're back with yet another creepypasta reading, but today it's got a little bit of a twist. I wrote this one that I'm about to read to you guys, and it's kind of a creepypasta, but at the same time it's kind of not, so, yeah, we'll just start, because I'm pretty proud of this one right now. It's not finished, but, I'm gonna read what I have anyway, so, here it goes. Predator versus prey. Years had passed since D-Day, the day that USA dropped the nukes. There were many survivors scattered across the country. Families and neighbors made safe havens all over the states. The terrain was the same in all the states, dry, hot, cracked, and radiated. My name is Kanyos Rodriguez Young. I'm not a normal man. I had no mother or father. I was created in a laboratory. I'm a twisted gene pool of Mongolian, Spanish, and Greek, but I am still American. I am a descendant of Spartacus, Alonso Perez de Guzman, and Attila the Hun. I was created to make the wasteland a peaceful place. However, my creators died shortly after I was created. I grew up as a normal child because the lab was destroyed and I was raised by raiders. Good. Raiders. My father figure was a man named Frederick Longstaff, an African Native American who was raised during the good years, what we wastelanders call the years before D-Day. He taught me how to fix generators and make water from dirt and purify it. And my mother. Oh, my mother. Her name was Diana Ivankana, a British Russian woman who raised me as her own son. Those two good souls helped me become the man I am today. They had a real son together that was about my age, and his name was Richard Longstaff, but we all just called him Richie. He and I were basically brothers. Occasionally, we'd practice our shooting and play ball, but that's enough about my family. I am 24 years old now and live in a small rundown apartment building with running electricity. I am an engineer and an arms maker. Bullets are rare to find, but we find them in bulk, thank the gods. Before I was old enough to shoot a gun or wire a circuit board, I loved writing and art. I occasionally go over to what we raiders call home base. I remember one week vividly. I went for a food run. For my friends and family at home base. I gathered my essentials: water, gas cans, my homemade gun made from many different gun parts, batteries, my flashlight, some lockpicks, and my duffel bag. I packed everything onto my motorcycle and rode off. Yes, I just said motorcycle. I had 3 gas cans and 3 full magazines for my gun. I had my flashlight taped to my gun. I rode for about 40 minutes and arrived at a small, rundown gas station in Delhi. I went to all the gas pumps and emptied them, and thank God I was able to fill all 3 gas cans. Got my loaded gun, one of the magazines, and turned on the flashlight. Seeing as how it was now about 9 p.m. and the sun went down about an hour before. I entered the gas station with my duffel bag slung over my shoulder. I searched the aisles and loaded the bag with everything I could: food, water, and essentials. I walked quietly through the store, seeing as how I didn't know if anybody was still there. I saw a door that said storage. I went in my bag and grabbed my lockpicks. I picked open the door and entered quietly. As soon as I walked in, however, I could smell a rancid and putrid scent. I shined my flashlight over to the far wall and saw a horrifying sight. Stuck to the far wall by a knife, there was a dead and decomposing raider. I could barely breathe when I walked over and searched him. Hey, survival of the fittest. I found a patch in his wallet. It matched my father's patch. There was an ID in the wallet. It was my father's brother, my uncle, Kingsley Longstaff. I teared up and picked him up. I gave him a proper burial. After all raiders deserve love from other raiders. I loved my uncle. He was one of my role models. I took a picture with my old camera. You know, the ones that print off pictures right from the camera. So I could show my father when I got back to the base. I had a walkie-talkie to keep in touch with my family at the base. This is Little Cub, over. My father answered. This is Big Cat, what you got over there, Little Cub? Over. I got a dead one, it's Uncle King. I was on a food and gas run and found him in the storage room. Over. Silence. I heard nothing from my father. Big Cat, you there? Over. Yeah, look up. Just get home ASAP. Over. All right, Big Cat, over and out. I got on the bike, capped the gas cans, and hitched my bag and rode home. I got home and brought in the supplies. I hadn't been home in almost a month or two. Right as I walked in, I dropped my supplies and called out our battle cry. We are raiders, everyone answered back. We are strong. I smiled and my mom came out and hugged me. I saw her, kissed her cheek and smiled. My dad came out and I shook his hand and bowed to him in respect. He smiled and hugged me. Richie saw me and hugged me. I miss my family with all my heart. I gave out all the food and water. I took Richie to our old room and he brought out a pack of cigarettes. Our favorite, Newport 100s. I smirked. Now, how the hell did you get a full pack of these? Richie smiled and handed me one. I lit it, having not smoked in about a month. I enjoyed all of it. We smoked and talked about life around the base over the past 2 months. There had been 2 new babies born, and it happened to be girls. We didn't have a lot of females in the gang, but we had enough of them to keep us guys under control. Richie gave me a full pack of Newports before leaving the compound. I hugged my family and went back to my shitty, rundown apartment. When I got back, I went straight to sleep after sharpening my machete. That night was the night I had the nightmare. In the dream, I was in the middle of the desert with nothing but a knife and a gun with only 12 bullets. In front of me was the fur on the back of a giant creature. I shot every bullet I had as close to his head as I could get. It turned, bleeding, and snarled. I looked closely, and it was my father. He had turned into a giant, mutated, cat-like creature. I ran at him with tears in my eyes. I jumped at him, and the dream ends. I woke up in a cold sweat and I woke up in a cold sweat with the machete in my hand. Started my day like I always did. I went to the scrapyard to work out, blasting the song Wild Boy and MGK. It was my favorite song before everything had happened, so it was a song that I held dear to my heart. That's what I have so far. You know what? Better yet, I think I'm gonna read my other one. I have 2 of them. And the other one is kind of a creepy pasta. So hang on one sec. Let me just pull that up, and I'll be right back. And we're back. This next one is called "Interview of a Psychopath." I put myself into this one, but it's under a different name, so we'll see how it goes. All right. Date 3/25/2020. Suwane's Mental Treatment Facility. Interviewing Alexander Monahan. Alex, my name is Dr. Richard Stevens, and I was sent to interview you. May I ask you a couple questions? The boy nodded, but he looked old for his age. Alexander Monahan was now 21 years old. He had long, tangled black hair, a lanky body frame, a dark and weathered face, and scars over his entire body. He had been incarcerated at the age of 18. He had a look of torment and distress in his eyes. He spoke in a soft yet hoarse voice. My friends used to call me Shark Boy, but that was back when I had friends. I just don't like the name Alex anymore, so just call me M. Everybody else does. All right, M, let's go back to your childhood. What was it like? The emotion then left Alexander's face, as if he had been asked this question before. He sighed. Well, my father was only around till I was 3. My mother dated a lot of guys after that, so I had many men in my life. But I digress. I lived with my mom and my 2 half-brothers, John and Sean. They would always fight and try to me into it and yell at me as if it was my fault. I slipped into depression at the age of 13. I didn't talk to my friends, and I stayed out of relationships for a while. The doctor scribbled some notes into his clipboard and nodded. We're making progress. Go on, Dr. Stevens said. Alex nodded. One day, I came home late. John and Sean were still fighting, and it got physical. Though they were a year younger than me, they acted like grown men, and I hated it. John ended up getting his nose broken, and Sean had a broken collarbone. I I heard both appendages snap, and it made me stop and think. Usually, normal people would cringe and wince. I didn't cringe, but I smiled. I did take them to the hospital since our mom worked two jobs to support all of us. Dr. Stevens stopped writing when Alexander said he smiled. He cocked his head at Alex and cleared his throat. Em, you must understand that is the reason you're still here, correct? How are you going to heal unless you leave your past behind you? I'm giving you a journal to write in daily, and I will check up on you in a month. Understand? Alex sighed and nodded. Flashback to Alexander's youth. Alexander walked into his house after taking his brothers to the hospital. He sat on the couch and opened up a bottle of Jack Daniels whiskey he always drank after a stressful day, which had been a steady 2 weeks now. As he drank, he became more and more calm. His brothers went to sleep, drugged from the painkillers. Alex sat in the dark and watched TV. After 2 hours, his phone started to buzz. It was an unknown number, but he picked it up. Who is this? What do you want? Alex slurred. I know you, and you know me. All you have to do is listen. Alex heard a friendly female voice on the other end. Alex, I need you to come to 361 North Yonder Street. I need to talk to you face to face. Something's happened, and someone's coming for you. Take your brothers and drive them here. Do not leave them alone. And with that, Alex heard a dial tone. He was confused, but obeyed. Although he was drunk and his brothers were drugged, he took them to the car and started to drive. Looking back on it, it wasn't a good idea. He knew where Yonder Street is, so he drove right to it. He pulled up to an abandoned house, and he became very concerned. He went to the trunk and grabbed his favorite toy, a baseball bat with barbed wire around it in one hand and a flashlight in the other. For safekeeping, he put a Glock 9 in his waistband with 3 mags in his pockets. His flashlight had new batteries in it, and it had a clip on it. He attached it to his gun and started walking towards the front door. He cracked the door open, and the door creaked. He heard nothing but his own heartbeat and breathing. He had a feeling that someone was watching him. He searched every bottom floor, seeing as how it was only a one-story house. He saw a door to the attic, and he opened the door. He went to the attic, and in the corner was a silhouette. He shined the light on it, and it was a familiar female's face. Naomi. The girl had long black hair and a short stature. Alex walked up and wrapped his arms around her. He kissed her passionately and held her close. Naomi looked up at him. He came. Doing homework? One sec, guys. Sorry, guys. The girl had long black hair and a short stature. Alex walked up and wrapped his arms around her. He kissed her passionately and held her close, although he was drunk. Naomi looked up at him. He came back. I thought we'd never see him again, but he came back. She showed him her side, which had many scars. He recognized the scars as knife marks and instantly knew who it was. Jeff. He can't be back. We destroyed him years ago. And that's the end of that story. So, guys, this brings us to an end of another video. So, like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.